Before we continue with today's program, we'll pause and remember our POWs and MIAs. POW means prisoner of war, and MIA means missing in action. I call your attention to the small table which occupies a place of dignity and honor. When I came in today, I was carrying combat boots and a helmet. These two items remind us that they are not with us today. The table is set for one, symbolizing that members of our armed forces are missing from our ranks. They are unable to be with their families, so we pay tribute to them. The table is small, symbolizing the frailty of one prisoner, alone against his captors. The tablecloth is white, symbolic of the purity of their intentions to respond to their country's call to arms. Would Shauna Robertson please come forward and place the flower in the vase? While Shauna's on her way down here, I'd like to remind you that her father is a veteran. Thank you, Shauna. The single red flower in the vase signifies the blood that has been shed to ensure the freedom of the United States of America. A slice of lemon is on the plate and reminds us of their bitter fate. Salt has been sprinkled on the plate and reminds us of the countless tears shed by their families. The glass is inverted to remind us that they cannot drink with us. Would Noah Kenosis please come down and light the candle? And while he's on his way down here, I'd like to let you know that his father is an active Air Force member. He's still in the service. Thank you, Noah. The candle is a reminder of the light of hope which lives in our hearts to light their way home. The little American flag you see on the table reminds us that many may never return and have paid the supreme sacrifice. And I'd be a little remiss today, especially the guys here that might be in the Marine Corps, since this is the Marine Corps' 236th birthday today. So, Veterans Day began in 1919 under President Woodrow Wilson as Armistice Day, a day set aside to honor veterans of World War I. The armistice of World War I was signed at precisely 11 a.m. on November 11th, 1918. And when I was in school, we would stand and recognize that fact at 11 a.m. in the morning on the 11th of November. We would stand and face the east for 1 minute in complete silence. We had a woolen mill in our town that had a huge steam whistle. That would blow for 1 minute at the same time. And of course the fire siren would blow for 1 minute as well. Those were the only sounds that you could hear at that time. And for 1 full minute, nobody said a word. There was not a sound. Just the whistles and the fire whistle. Anyway, we would place our right hand over our heart and face the east. And when we did that, we were saying, because the war was fought in Europe, that was east of us, so therefore we faced the east. We didn't have the ceremonies and all such as we have today. But we still honored the veterans and respected them. It wasn't until 1938 that Armistice Day became an official holiday. Congress changed the name of the holiday in 1954 as a way to honor all veterans, not just those from World War I. On November 11th, the United States celebrates nearly 22 million veterans who have served their countries, with a mix of parades, solemn ceremonies, and other events. One of the most notable observations is the national ceremony held each November 11th at Arlington National Cemetery. which is in Arlington, Virginia, and just outside Washington, D.C. This ceremony honors and thanks all people who served in the armed forces. Beginning at 11 a.m., the ceremony includes a laying of the wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldiers. In the tomb are servicemen and women not identifiable from each war that we have fought to date. I'm sure you've seen the tomb at one time or another on TV and the soldiers standing guard at it. The tomb, if you aren't familiar with it, is a very, very square, just about like a box that would hold a casket. These people are interred in there, and each war that we've been in is represented, but no one knows who these people are. The soldiers are standing guard at the tomb, and there is a meticulous ritual the guard follows when watching over the graves in the tomb. The soldier walks 21 steps across the tomb in front of it, and this alludes to the 21-gun salute, which is the highest honor given to any military or dignitary in America. He carries his rifle on the shoulder away from the tomb to protect it against any attack that may occur. On the 21st step, the soldier turns and faces the tomb for 21 seconds. Then the soldier turns to face the other way, again placing his rifle on the shoulder away from the tomb, and takes his 21 steps back to where he started. After facing the tomb for 21 seconds again, he repeats the process over and over, and he does that until he is relieved of his duty. They walk on a rubber mat that is replaced only twice each year, before Memorial Day and before Veterans Day. The guards at the tomb are there 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. During the day in the summer months, the guard is changed every half hour because of the heat. And during the winter months, the guard is changed every hour. And if you recall, a few years ago, a hurricane traveled up the East Coast, and during all the rain and strong winds, they were told by the president that they did not have to walk their post, but they stayed. So you can see the dedication that these men have for their jobs. And that's true of every veteran you see here today. Communities are encouraged to honor the veterans at every opportunity, such as our assembly today. America's sons and daughters have not watched over her shores for public recognition, fanfare, or parades. They have preserved our way of life with unwavering patriotism and quiet courage. As a grateful nation, we should be humbled by the sacrifices rendered by our service members and their families. Today, let us remember our solemn obligations to our veterans and recommit to upholding the enduring principles that our country lives for and that our fellow citizens have fought and died for. Many servicemen and women gave their lives and their tomorrows so that you and I could have our todays. We honor the veterans from all the wars, and we recognize all wars fought by the United States, and some of the monuments dedicated to these veterans, which will follow here. I'll begin with the World War II Memorial. It's our newest, and the design is in a huge circle. It consists of 56 granite pillars, each 17 feet tall, arranged in a semicircle around a plaza with two 43-foot arches on opposite sides. The monument covers 7.5 acres. That's quite a bit. And each pillar is inscribed with the name of the state and all the territories belonging to the United States at the time of the war in the Pacific and in Europe in World War II. Excuse me. On each side there is an arch, and one side is inscribed with the Atlantic, or the war in Europe. The opposite side of the whole thing is noted to be the Pacific, the war with Japan. The plaza is 337 feet, 10 inches long. To give you an idea of that, it's about 3 times longer than your gymnasium here. So it's not a small thing. That is 240 feet, 2 inches wide, or 2.5 times the size of the gymnasium here. There is a pool in the center that measures 246 feet, 9 inches, by 147 feet, 8 inches. And there is a wall containing 4,048 stars, with each star representing 100 Americans killed during the war. Let me repeat that. The wall has 4,048 gold stars, and each star represents 100 Americans killed during the war. If you do your math rather quickly, you'll see that's well over 400,000. That's a lot of folks. And an inscription is there that says, "Here we mark the price of freedom." And after that one, I think our next, probably larger one, is the Korean War Memorial. The Korean Memorial shows 19 stainless steel statues, each 7 feet 6 inches tall, as though they were on a patrol, moving up a slight incline. And the monument is in the shape of a triangle, and along one side is a wall of highly reflective black granite, 164 feet long, with photographic images sandblasted of what these men and women did in Korea. There is a plaque inscribed, "Our nation honors her sons and daughters who answered the call to defend a country they never knew and a people they never met." But that's what we do in the service. These servicemen and women are among us today. There were 54,246 killed in the space of 3 years the war lasted. There is an inscription that also says, "Freedom is not free," and it is not free. We paid for it with lives dearly. Next we come to the Vietnam War, and I'm sure you have seen the wall, as it is commonly called on TV, or had referred to it. And the wall is 493 feet 6 inches long and contains the names of those killed or missing in action. The wall is of black marble and highly reflective. I personally grew up with a man whose name is on that wall. He went out doing his duty and was never heard from again. No remains were ever found. And that is what the POW MIA ceremony at the start of the program was all about. These are just 3 of the many memorials you will find in Washington, D.C. And there are many memorials of one kind or another across the United States. Many small towns such as Granville, which has a cannon in front of the American Legion, and my hometown, Henry, that has a torpedo in a park there honoring a Medal of Honor recipient, and Mark, Illinois, which has a helicopter that was flown in Vietnam. These are constant reminders to us that freedom is not free. Many fought and died so we could remain a free country and live our lives as we have for many years. All our veterans are proud of their service, although many were killed on the battlefield. I'm sure these veterans here today would trade almost anything to have their fellow soldiers that were killed in action back with us again. And memories sometimes come flooding back to us, and all are not pleasant. So I'd like to remind you to please honor and thank our veterans every day, and be glad you have the peace and freedom we enjoy today. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak to you today. You've been a great group of young people, and we thank you. Mr. Robinson? Mr. Lombardo, you want to play our service songs for us now, please? As you hear your service song played, veterans, please stand to be recognized.
PCJH Squad.